Okay, so straight off the bat, I know that this is a pretty mellow. It's a pretty mellow beat. For the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna try and show you how I'd write, for example, a song about a girl. I feel like this type of beat could, that it could make sense if the song was about a girl. Once I know that, I'll think to myself, okay, this track is gonna have 3 parts. I know it's gonna be 3 verses long. I know I'm gonna have, because this has 3 verses, I know I'm gonna have an introduction. I'm gonna have the body of the story, and then a conclusion or some sort of resolution to, whatever the story is about. So I'll say my first verse might be about, let's say, me observing this lady. Me realizing that I'm attracted to her. So let's base the first verse on observation. Okay. And then let's say the second verse. Let's say the second verse was about me approaching her. The things that I would say to her. My game. How I'd go about it. Okay, so what would we call that? Let's call that game. The suaveness. Okay, and then I know the third verse. Let's say, in a perfect world, let's say I get the girl. Let's say, she's my girlfriend now. Okay, so yeah, let's say win. I'll call that win. Okay, so now while I'm observing her, my starting point, let's say her energy. Okay, I'm gonna go with energy. Now, I know at this point I'm gonna have, a verse is 16 bars, basically 16 lines. Yeah, that's the best way to explain it. 16 lines, and that makes up a verse. So I know I'm gonna have 1 line, 2 line, 3 lines, 4 lines, and then basically that multiplied by 4. What I want to do is, because I'm using the word energy as my sort of starting point. I know that energy is going to be the ending of my 4th line. So anything I say before that, let's say my last line is, I can feel her aura and her energy. Okay. Okay, there's a bit of a gap. Aura and energy. I can feel her aura and her energy. Okay. Now, energy. Now what I'll do is I'll try and figure out what rhymes with energy and what is able to, and what will make sense in this context. Energy, let's say inner me. Okay. Inner me, enemy, that rhymes. Empathy, sympathy, into me. Okay, that definitely makes sense. Okay, I've got a couple to work. I'll usually have a few more than that, so I have some options. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use some of those words to end the lines that will eventually bring me to this last line. I can feel her aura and her energy. So let's say my first line is going to be having conversations with the inner me. Ooh, okay. Having convos with the inner me. Oh, that's deep. Okay. Having conversations with the inner me. Now, I like the word empathy. I wonder how I could tie that in. So having conversations with the inner me. I can feel her aura and her energy. I feel like I could do a social observation here. Having conversations with the inner me. Living in this world without empathy. Okay, I'm just gonna do it real quick. Normally I put a bit more thought into this, but let's say living in this world with no empathy. Now I have to come up with a line that's gonna basically link that together. Having conversations with the enemy, living in this world with no empathy. Looking out the window of the 7th floor. Now, bear in mind, not everything has to rhyme. There's no there's no rules. The whole thing could not rhyme. The whole thing could rhyme. It's the beauty of this is that there's no rules, you know. So I'm gonna throw in a line over here that doesn't rhyme, but is, you know, it's I'm happy with it. Observe. I saw her while looking out the 7th floor. Yeah, I'll say that. I saw her. I got terrible handwriting. So, can you turn that beat up a little bit? Let's see this work. Having conversations with the enemy, living in this world with no empathy. I saw her while looking out the 7th floor. I can feel her aura and her energy. Okay, that could work. Okay, so there's my first four bars of the song. So now I have another 12 bars to come up with. I'm not going to show you the whole 12 bars, but I just wanted to show you how I would kind of begin my starting point. Now, with the information I have here, I have a pretty good idea of the direction that the song is going to go. I think that I can feel her aura and her energy. I think I'll probably do a few more social, a little bit more social commentary. Since I talked about the world that we're living in, I'll probably discuss a couple more issues while somehow tying her into it. Okay, I don't want to get too much into her during the first verse because I'm just observing. Okay, you know what I'll do? Before I approach her, I think I'll talk about what's going through my mind as I'm trying to prep myself to approach her. Something about my nerves. I have to put my nerves to the side. Okay, I'm gonna say something about putting my nerves to the side. Okay. Nerves to the side. Okay. I know how I'm gonna start this. I'll say, okay. Decide. Reside. No, I don't know where she resides. Okay. Provide. Deny. Okay, so I can see I'm attracted and I can't deny. Now I have one thing that I must decide. Have to put my fears to the side and approach her even if it might mean getting denied. Okay, so just having these words over here gives me a pretty good picture of, of what I can do in the story that I can tell. Now, I think it's important for me to say that these words here don't confine me. In fact, it gives me the ability to think about what I could say within this context. So for myself, when I prepare a song, just turn it down a little bit. So this is the type of stuff that I look at when I'm starting to write a track. These are the guidelines that I generally use. Having the rhyme, the finishing rhymes over here, make it a lot easier for me to decide what's gonna be, what'll be the content of the song. And now that I've got a couple of lines about, me approaching her, I'd build on that. Let's go to the conclusion. Now, what usually helps me is to figure out what the last line will be at this point, because that gives me, then I can kind of work backwards. Um, what's a happy ending? Say, let's say I'm glad that I found you. Maybe my last line for the song will be I'm glad that I found you. Okay? So, found you. Oh, this one's going to be easy. Found you, around you, without you. Oh, pick the perfect rhyme scheme. Amount to. Okay. So I'm gonna say I'm glad that I found you. Okay, so just looking at this, I'd probably say something like, turn up a little bit. I used to wonder what my I used to wonder what my life would amount to. I found a certain kind of peace when I'm around you. Don't know what the situation would be without you. I'm really glad I found you. And that'll be the end of the song. You know, I'll have some other stuff before that. And that's basically how I'd go about building it. So yeah, that's, I guess, to summarize it. Me knowing what I'm going to talk about in the first verse and some of the rhyme schemes I would use makes it easier for me to tell my story. Me knowing that the middle part is where I'm going to build the content gives me a guideline, and also me knowing what the final line will be, makes it a lot easier to build backwards. Like I said before, there's no rules. This for myself. This is a way of writing that I've found is effective, for me, and that's, yeah, you can take that and you can kind of tweak it this way and that way, but that's me.